Hi guys. Hey babes, and welcome back to Making Kin with Kaylee Rain. As you might have guessed, I'm Kaylee Rain. And today we're switching up the content. I was going to release a video today about recession indicators, and it was like funny and lighthearted and quirky, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I'm currently recording this at 10 a.m. on Friday. If it comes out late, that's why. I plan to edit it after work, and we'll see how good my editing skills are and how much raw footage we have. And we'll see how off the rails we get. I mainly decided that I wanted to re-record this yesterday, not after I found out that Charlie Kirk was shot, not after I found out that he died, nor after pondering on it for a while. I wanted to record this after I had multiple people around me either start celebrating his death or people that have made comments about other gun violence around me, speaking on how tragic and upsetting it is that he was shot. And then I saw a text from one of my friends, not a text, a Facebook post from one of my friend's parents. And I said, okay, I know what I have to do. So, as I already alluded, we're gonna start this by talking about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was shot and killed on Wednesday at a school in Utah. I want to start by saying that I feel horrible for anyone that had to witness the shooting. For any of the victims in the room, I feel bad for his kids. I feel bad for his wife. I feel bad for those who knew him. I feel bad for those who knew the shooter. I know that they haven't figured out who it is yet, but I'm sure someone out there has inklings, and that probably sucks. I feel bad for every single part of this situation, as I did for the children and the families of those who were shot in Minnesota last week, that were shot, killed, victimized, everything awful that happened with that, as I do for those in Colorado, as I do for those in Gaza as well, as I do for literally every single tragedy happening. I feel bad for anyone experiencing it, because I thought that's what we meant by empathy. Because I thought that's what we meant by care. Okay, now we have to cut because I'm gonna start crying. Is that to say that there's no situation that violence is acceptable? No, I can't say that. However, when do we stop feeling bad that it's happening? When do we start encouraging it? When do we want it to happen? That's like crazy. It is. I hate Charlie. He's a bad person. He shouldn't have died. He shouldn't have been murdered. I thought that was something that we would all agree on. And I thought, not that this is the reason that we should, but I thought that that was how I aligned with a lot of people that I aligned with, because we put goodness in the absence of suffering. Because we put being good in the absence of suffering above doing cruel acts and harming others, no matter who those others are. And I think that we can pull from some ecofeminist philosophy here. Per usual, we can pull from some ecofeminist philosophy here and look at what led up to this situation. And perhaps the structures and systems and institutions and dualisms that we have in place have led to a situation where not only are we discussing the human rights of other people, and this is where we get a little bit into, was Charlie Kirk a good person? Did he do things that perhaps may be celebrating his death for a reason? Maybe that's what I want to say. Maybe I want to say that some people do have a reason to be celebrating. It is just our job to determine if that reason, with all of its implications, are good enough to be doing it. So Kirk wasn't a good person, in my opinion, from my perspective, from my lens. This is, again, now let's go back to the ecofeminism a little bit. Charlie Kirk was very much in the mindset of the master perspective. The master perspective is currently, in the Western world, aligned with a set of subject versus object dualisms. I like to link these to Immanuel Kant's theory of dignity versus price. In this theory, there's things in the world that have a price, and there's things that have dignity. The dignity are humans. They're men more so than women. The things with price are the things that we can exploit. The things that, a good example of this is slavery. The things with dignity are white people. The things with price are black people. We're all humans and we categorize them based on their worth in the master perspective mindset. When we move to ecofeminism, however, Val Plumwood starts talking about this idea of things being worth more than others, and the things with dignity then become the subjects. They then become the things with, okay, I guess I am going to talk about value. The things with intrinsic value. They're the things that are worthy simply because they exist. Examples of these are humans, men, white people, rationality. The same things that have dignity, the same things that are ruling the objects, the objectified thing, the thing that is instrumentalized. It's turned into something that is of service to the subject. Examples of these objects are women, the natural world, emotion. You see the link of how I think Charlie Kirk's kind of not a great guy. If I need to go further into that, I can in another video. But I think that in ecofeminism, the whole idea is that all of these things in the object are linked. All of the things that are objects are linked together, and all the things that are subjects are linked together. They reinforce each other. This is a lot like intersectional feminism. And the entire root of this by Francois de Queen. An absolute queen. Francois de Bon is the first woman to use the word ecofeminism in philosophy. She was a French feminist. She wrote a book called Le Féminisme ou la Mort, which means feminism or death. And she just absolutely eats. But what she was originally doing was saying the way that we use an oppressed nature, the same mindset that allows us to do that is the same thing that allows us to use and oppress women. The same thing that allows us to condone slavery. Not condone it, but the same thing that allowed us to do slavery and all of the horrible, inhumane, cruel acts that come with that. More than the average person thinks happen. Would like to make that abundantly clear. If you have not done your own history research, if you have not for any of my videos as well, for any of your professors speaking to you, for any of your parents speaking to you, any information that you get, you should research before you believe. And that research doesn't have to look like getting scholarly articles. It doesn't have to look like Googling it. It should never look like using AI to check it. It can look like going outside. It can look like touching grass and critically thinking about it. And by critically thinking, I don't mean negatively thinking about it. I don't mean wallowing and complaining and telling me all of this bullshit that I don't give a fuck about. I don't give a fuck if you don't want to read it. I don't give a fuck if you don't understand after the first time doing it. I don't give a fuck if you think that college is too academic. Any of these issues, leave or don't talk to me at least. It is a privilege to learn and to be able to act in this day and age. And that nobody wants to do anything epidemic is real, but the people saying nobody wants to do anything are the people not doing anything. So that's my hot take on that. Next topic. Sorry, this is why we're doing this. I went through this is my 1 through 3 week reflection for guys. I'll have to ask her if I can say her name in this. For Dr. She has a doctorate. So Charlie Kirk's not a great guy. He wasn't a great guy. He was a bad guy. He was a horrible guy. Should we have shot him in the neck in front of his children? Or should we have said, "Hey, Charlie Kirk, What are your reasons for thinking that? Like Dean Withers did. I got a few videos about this earlier on my For You page that kind of drove me crazy about Dean Withers being like a clout chaser or a grifter. Or what else did they say about him? He was like a Republican before and they didn't like that. Dean Withers feels empathetic for a man being shot in the neck in front of his children when Dean Withers is someone that said, what are your reasons for thinking that? And let Charlie Kirk talk over him for so many videos. And yes, he was making money of it. Yes, it was happening. He let him talk over him and disrespect him and be rude to him and continue to try and have a conversation with him. And then he talked over him back. And yeah, I know they did their whole little thing. They have a whole little fight, whatever. He can have empathy for a man dying when he's trying to understand why he thinks that way and trying to change his viewpoint or share his own viewpoint, trying to have a discussion, a philosophical argument, if you will, about the things that we're supposed to be philosophically arguing and not shooting each other over. This is not a hot take. This is literally like just basic human emotion, which is our whole thing, in case you weren't aware. I know that a lot of people, including a lot of biology professors at the University of Pittsburgh at Bradford, think that the number one thing that makes humans different than the rest of the animals, and a lot of biologists and people, I don't really know, don't ask me about science stuff. I think that the thing that like makes humans different and special is our FOXP2 gene, and we have language and we can communicate and we can understand and we can write down things. Or is that a fun, cool thing that we developed because it's helpful for us to communicate because we have so much care and empathy for the world around us as humans, and that care and empathy we can display by manipulating the world around us. Another thing that a lot of people think that sets human aside, perhaps that was also just a tool that we're using incorrectly and we could be just using to care for and help the world around us, and that we can all just be happy and care about each other. Would that be so hard? Like, this doesn't feel like a hard concept to me, is the thing. This doesn't feel like something that I was ever taught or I ever learned. The way that I'm describing it now, I learned how to do. Sorry, I cry a lot. I'm also really high and I have to go to work at noon, so that's fun too. I think that that's why I like history of philosophy and like learning other theories, and that's why I've really enjoyed the philosophy program where I am. I think that's why I enjoy it, is because it's learning how to put things into words. Like how to put the thoughts that I've had. Like I understood this concept without people teaching it to me, and I thought that most people did. When I grew up, I thought it was weird to be racist, and I thought it was weird to litter, and I thought it was weird to bully someone. Like, I still think that. But, like, I thought that we thought that. I thought we all got that. Like you, our professors, or, like, I thought that we knew. One of my classes, there's a girl in it, and she's so sweet. She's so cute. She's a freshman. I just adore her. She has great thoughts. She reminds me a lot of me whenever I got there, so I kind of enjoy her for that as well. I'm speaking very, very vaguely here because I don't know this girl. I only see her in class. But she posted on one of our discussion posts that she like felt insecure about her accent, and some guys were like making fun of an accent that came out, and it was an American. For preference, we should not make fun of any accents because that's weird. But for reference, she's like got an American accent. She's got like a Midwest. I don't know geography, but she's got like a not from where I live American accent. And like guys were making fun of her for it. We're an institution of higher learning. That's like the whole thing. That's the whole thing we're supposed to be doing, is learning and educating ourselves. The whole thing humans can do with communication and care is tell each other what's going on and their perspective and what they experienced and what they know. That's why you go to college, so that someone else can tell you what they know. That's the whole point. Isn't it wonderful that doesn't just have to be your professors. And that doesn't just have to be a college. And you can just talk to people. You can do that. It's so fun. You can say, instead of making fun of this fucking poor girl's fucking accent. Like, so, I'm not gonna talk about it because I will start screaming. But in my Greek experience that I have had, every single part of it, actually, the whole, not even just mine, like the whole shebang that I've experienced. Y'all, we're adults paying to be here and paying to speak to each other. The fuck? Why are you being so mean? And then also, no, actually, not even that. We're all just on Earth together. Why are we being mean? Why are you causing others harm? Why are you actively living to cause others harm? For example, access and praxis. Another thing. I'm just giving you guys an overview of what we talked about in my phil classes this week. Anyone who is in any of my phil classes, so sorry, don't listen to this. But access and praxis is your actions in. Let me spread misinformation real quick. Just fucking Google it, bitch. Okay, again, do your own research. Don't quote me. This is just from my quick little ecoja search, reading the little blurbs from each of the websites, and my former knowledge of access and praxis. Access is the way that we arrange our information in our head. Praxis is the way that we use the information in our head. So our actions are, our access is our belief. Praxis is the practical, our actions. So aim, practical, that's how I used to remember it, but I couldn't like say that. I just expect you to know what that meant. But so the way that we think about things versus user actions, and I think that there is where I want to end this. I want to end speaking about Charlie Kirk. So it has to be a shorter episode because I have to edit it and post it by tonight. But Charlie Kirk was someone who believed something and he did it. He believed in what he was doing and he, to what he thought, I'm assuming, was reasonable, debated others and tried to spread that thinking. So there's something to be said about that. What he was speaking about harmed a lot of people. There's something to be said about that too. But at the end of the day, we are our own people. And if he personally harmed you, I'm sorry. I also really hate him and feel personally harmed by him. However, we are our own people and we can acknowledge and recognize the fact that in this day and age, violence against someone is wrong. The same way that the children that were killed in Minnesota and Colorado and all of the school shootings before that. And all the ones that I hope will not come after that, but we live in America. I live in America. But, and all of the other gun violence happening in the world is all bad. And we can all acknowledge that. I hope. And I feel like at the end of the day, I stand by the Instagram story that I got a lot of hate for in my DMs and like multiple people unfollowed me for, which I thought was the reason I posted an Instagram story about it is because it happened as I was leaving class and I wasn't sure when I was going to be able to talk about it yet. But I had heard so many people celebrating it. And I was so disturbed that I had heard it just leaving campus, walking out of campus. I had heard people like talking about how exciting it was. And I was like, and I did feel a little bit of that at the beginning. I'm kind of glad that his rhetoric is no longer being spread out of his mouth. However, he should not have died. But that's why I posted an Instagram story about it. For reference, I did bring up the Minnesota school shooting when it happened in multiple of my classes and had multiple discussions about it. And it was at a time that we were actually discussing the importance of looking at these public issues and feeling the hurt that comes with that. And in that hurt, I think that that's where you want to make change. And that's what's important. So if anyone feels very upset at this time, as I do, I have a few recommendations to you. Let's end this on a positive note. Let's end this on a note of things that I've done this week to make me feel better about everything that has happened. Things that have not made me feel better. My mother just texted me. Let me pull up. I do have a notes app with my schedule every single day. If you're on the audio listening, you can see it. But it's my schedule every single day, my thoughts during the day, my outfits, my morning coffee, and it's just the days that I have school. Like, it's just the days that I go to campus. because it makes me feel better, and it also gives me a place to like write my thoughts if I don't have like a book with me that I can write them in. But I like to just be able to look at it. So let's look at some things that made me feel better this week. I do this almost every morning that I can, especially any morning that I'm like not feeling well emotionally. I go to the Allegheny River. There's a spot like on my way to campus that I can pull off on and go down. I like to take my 2018 Nissan Rogue off-roading sometimes, like the little bitch I am. So I take her down to the river, and then I just like kind of sat there and I speak to the babbling brook a lot. If you look at my snapshot story, you see the babbling brook quite a bit. But I really like to just go down there and like sit. I do a lot of my delights down there. If anyone doesn't have and wants to know how to delay in kilo, let me know. I would love to share. It's so fun. Or I can do an episode about it if you guys would like that as well. But I do that. And then also my kilo I feel like helps a lot. I like to kilo without writing it down sometimes, which I think is just like being outside is what it would be called, is just being outside and observing what's going on is what kiloing without writing it down is. But it's really nice to just like stop. Just stop doing things and be still for a second. I think that helps a lot. I think something else that helps a lot is finding joy in literally everything. Like the little noise whenever I lock my car, I'm like, beep, beep, beep. When I make my coffee in my house, I usually make Americanos every morning. And when I make my Americano, I always like feel so cute doing it. I make sure I like feel cute. Dressing up, I feel like dressing up always helps. If you can, I know it's hard at this time, and I know capitalism is something not to fall for, but a thrift store is always fun. A Depop is always fun. And if there's something coming out that you just like really, really want at this time. For example, an X Turmeric Juicy Lip. I'm not wearing it right now, but if you saw me at all this week, I was. It's so good. Found a lot of joy in that this week. I found a lot of joy in my Maracuja Juicy Lip this week. But I think that at this time, like, I understand that it can be very tough to talk about these issues. And I understand that bad coping mechanisms are bad. But I think that if you're not still learning and talking about what's going on and actively working for a better change and a more positive world with every action you're doing, you are conscious all the time. You're there all the time. You are actively choosing everything you're doing all the time. And if you're not trying to promote better with that, that's not good. You should be. So do what you have to do that. And to do that, you have to stay informed. You have to talk about these issues. You have to go through the hard emotions. And sometimes to go through those hard emotions, you need a Maracuja Juicy Lip. You need to make a PB&J and eat it in your art class. You need to do the little things. And that takes more effort. But you have to do it. That's the only way it's gonna get better. And Paige sent me a video and we're gonna watch it to make me feel better. She's so cute.
So this is where I need to laminate. I need to laminate.
Paige made me feel a lot better. So that was fun. Yeah. If you take away anything from this, I want it to be that your actions matter. And we can evoke a better world if you actually do it. And the step one of that is trusting and using your gift for just caring for other people and other non-people, other more than human things. That's what kind of separates a little dualism rift, doesn't it? Care. Just care. Just care, actually. Bye, babes.